Okay, I guess I'm starting a little bit late. That's all right, I'll try to go quickly. My name is Tom Pals. I'm here with Byron O'Neill. Michael Schaubeck couldn't make it today, but Professor Nase could, and she's here as well. And I think there's some handouts coming out. If you'd like to look a little bit at the handout, it has to do with making an abstract. It's just one of the many things that we hand out during this particular course as an example of the materials that we use. So today I'm here to talk about our elephant afraid of mice, busting scientific writing myths. And there's 5 main questions that I would like to answer with this particular presentation. What course am I talking about? What tools did we use? Why did we use these particular tools? How you can use them? And then was the course successful or not? So let me tell you a little bit about the course. The course is part of a 4-course block called the English Diploma course. There's English Diploma course 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's for 3rd year and 4th year students. So in their 1st and 2nd year, they have required English classes, and they finished all of those. And then in their 3rd and 4th year, these are elective courses that they can choose to take or not. And this particular course is the 1st course, so it's 3rd year students in their 1st semester. And this one is scientific writing strategies. It's basically to help students who've never done really any research either in their own language or in English, how to do research, how to write a research report. And all of our students are science and engineering majors. I think there are, how many majors? 11? 11 majors. Physics, mathematics, engineering, mechanical engineering. Yeah, anyway, things like that. So it's those kinds of students. And so how the semester is set up for us, it's a 15-week semester. So we divide up each step by step how they're going to write a research report. You can see on the left, those are the tasks that they have for each week, dividing up a research paper into the abstract, the introduction, references, methodology, results, conclusion, and then they present on the research at the end. On the right side here, they can access the slides after the lecture from each week. They can go back over any slides, any information that they missed. We don't use any textbook. All of the material is designed by us, and they can access it. So lots of handouts for the students. And then scoring-wise, we divided the course up into exactly 100 points. So it's easy for the students to know where they stand in terms of each assignment. And being in class, they would get 3 points a week for being successful in what they're supposed to do. You might notice that it says the research paper is worth only 6 points for the final paper. That's because they've been scored on each of the parts of the paper. So the actual final paper is just copying and pasting in the correct way, the final paper. They present on their findings. They have their 5 individual modules, a quiz about the lectures, and the final thing, the online exercise. That's a separate issue that I won't cover today. But we have specific goals for the course, and the first ones, of course, are in writing, because it's a writing class. So what do we expect the students can do by the time they finish the course? And those are laid out step by step. They should know what an abstract is, and the introduction, and review of the literature, and all of those parts of the research paper. And of course, also, we're using collaborative technology. So most of them, we've had anyone who's actually used it before. So really, the students haven't used the collaborative technology yet. So we're actually doing that too, and that's part of their IT skills and that they can use in other classes and throughout the 4 courses that they'll be taking in this program. And then, of course, the academic skills, distinguishing between stuff like academic or non-academic material. You can't write a research paper using Wikipedia and stuff like that. So they have to do those. And then, of course, general skills for speaking, listening, and reading that they've all had exposure to in their first and second year at the university. Okay, so let's get a little bit more to the meat. What tools do we use? We use Dropbox, Google, which probably most people are familiar with now, and Mythbusters, which I don't know if they have that here or not, but it's a Discovery Channel, kind of a light science show. The reasons that we use these particular things is, number one, they're all free. So that's, the cost is right. But they also have familiar functions. If you've never used Dropbox or Google Documents, Google Presentation, Google Spreadsheet, it's really similar to Word and Microsoft stuff, which pretty much everybody has used. So that's important too. Language support. There's language support in Google for, of course, Thai and English, and where I'm from, Japan. Dropbox, I do not think has Thai, but it does have Japanese and a few other languages. Mythbusters is English only. But another reason that we're using it is for the collaborative power. The theme of this conference is for collaboration, and that's really where the power lies in with those technologies. And then the crossover effect. They can then use these, what they're learning in this course, for their actual content classes in Japanese for engineering, and also in their English life as well afterwards. So how can we use them? Dropbox is the thing that we suggest highly, if you've never used it before, with your fellow instructors. And basically it's just a cloud computing service where instructors who are making the materials can put them, and then they don't have to pass files back and forth with email. They can access those files from any computer, anytime, and everything is updated automatically. So if my colleague Byron makes a change, he sees a spelling mistake in the presentation for the next week, he can just change it. It's automatically updated to any computer that all of us are accessing at any time. So it's very powerful with the instructors. Google does it well for the actual writing because of the software that looks a lot like Word. You can use it that way. And so we use that with students and instructors. And with Google, we can choose who can actually edit a document or not. So that's a big difference between Dropbox and Google. And then Mythbusters, we're not science and engineering teachers, we're English teachers. So we need something with light science that we can understand, that we can help the students with. And that's the reason why we chose Mythbusters. Okay, let me just show you really quickly each thing. So Dropbox, it's a cloud computing deal. If you go to their website, this is what you see on the first page. Big button, watch the video, 3-4 minute video, explains what it is, how to use it, and then you can choose to download it or not onto your computer, or you can access it via any web browser. You can have 2 gigabytes for free, but you can also gain up to, it says up here, up to 8 gigabytes by inviting other people to join you using Dropbox. I think I'm up to maybe 3 gigabytes. It's a crossover version, which basically means it doesn't matter whether you're Mac or PC or Linux or actually even using mobile technology. You can access any of your files from any platform. And then, as I said, language support. I believe if you log into a web browser, it looks like this, and we can see here there's English, Spanish, French, German, and Japanese for language support. But it is growing for language support. So if you log into any browser from any platform, you'll see something like this, and your files are there, and you can choose which files are being shared with your colleagues, and you can have your separate section of private stuff as well. If you download the software, here you can see it. You get a folder on your computer that looks just like any of your other folders. But anything that's in here will be shared by the other instructors, and any change you make happens almost instantly, seamlessly. You don't have to send an email or anything. It just gets updated to everything that you use. So it's really powerful in that sense. And here you can see on the left side, EEC1, our first course, and we have the 13 weeks of handouts and the lecture notes that we'll give as teachers. And if there's anything that needs to be changed, whoever finds what needs to be changed can just change it. Okay, for Google, probably most people have used it before, but I would suggest if you're going to start using Google in a system like this, that you don't just take whatever the student's Google or Gmail account is right now, but you have them make a new Gmail account that's specific for their English classes. The reason I suggest this is because you want them to make an ID that you're going to understand what it is. If they're using their name, it could be that somebody has the same name. If they're using a nickname, you want to know who it is. So I would suggest to do away with that. We use actually the student's ID number plus EDC, the course name that we're doing. And probably it's unique enough that it's not going to be taken by somebody else. They can then have their unique ID. And we teach the students in the first week how to send an email. Even if they have an account, it's probably for us in Japanese, so we have them switch it over to English. They can learn how to do a self-introduction and then how to make the actual Google document at first. And then, kind of importantly, we don't want to spend a long time teaching them how to use Google. It's pretty intuitive. If they've used Word, it's pretty easy to use. But there's also lots of help. You can just go to the website. There's help for learning more about documents, spreadsheets, presentation, and how to use all that. I think Byron can handle any questions later about if it's easy or not. This was first year to use this stuff. Right? Yeah, so for Byron, he can answer any questions if it was useful or how difficult it is. But Google has, of course, lots of languages. For us, it's Japanese, but I think I see Thai here too. Lots of other languages as well, which means they also have video support for all those things. So if you're not sure how to use something in your whatever language you're using as a first language, you can also access that from Google. So that's really powerful. And then here's just kind of anything that you want to do, editing a document or uploading. If you have Word files that you would like to put onto Google Documents, you can just upload those files. How to do all those things, there's help page right there for you. So you don't need somebody to teach you how to do it. You can teach yourself quite easily. Okay, so the powerful thing about using Google then, instead of passing files back and forth with students, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one thing is you can make a course folder, and you can have students that can access that folder. And then from any point on after that, any new document you put into that folder, students can automatically access that. You don't have to keep resending them things. So you just make one folder, students can access that at any time. And you can choose different folders that students could then edit the documents in those folders, or not edit. They could just view them. So you can do that on a course scale, or you can do that between instructors. So instructors, if they want to have some teacher notes files, they can do those separately. And another powerful thing is that you can make templates, and I'll show you what I mean. But if you want your research paper to look a certain way or a presentation to look a certain way, you can make a template. The students can copy the template, and then it'll already be lined up the way that it should be. And of course, you can choose different classes. I think there was 5 sections of this particular course, so we had 5 different sections, and then with individual students. Editing any document, you can see who edited it, what change they made, and if you make a mistake, you can revert back to an older version of that. So that's also powerful with that. Presentation, spreadsheet, charts and data works really similar to Microsoft stuff, but again, everybody can access what you want them to access instantly, and you can see it. There's no passing files back and forth. You know, the downside is, of course, you have to have internet connection. Right? So that's good. Mythbusters is a popular show on Discovery Channel. Do they have Mythbusters too? Yes? No? Yes. It's kind of a light science show. These guys, they do kind of crazy experiments about commonly held beliefs and just test out whether they're true or not. But actually, even though they're not scientists themselves, they follow the scientific method. They ask a question at the beginning of the show. They maybe give a little bit of background information, why that's a question, why people believe elephants are afraid of mice, how that got into our culture. They construct a hypothesis, what would happen if an elephant met a mouse. And then they have an hypothesis, they do an experiment, and then they analyze their data, what happened. Right? On the handout, if you already looked at it, you know, one side asks students to imagine what they would do in the elephant versus mouse case. And then we're actually going to watch a short video of their experiment, and then what they would, how they actually, the Mythbusters actually did it compared to what their idea was. And of course, we need to communicate our ideas. We write a research paper. In their case, they had a TV show. Again, all of these videos are available online. They're free, and there really are over 1,000 different experiments. So we let students choose what experiment that they want to research, and then find out more information about that. But there's over 1,000 different things to choose from. So those are the tools that were used. For us, when we start teaching the writing section, we start with abstract writing. And we do this for a few reasons. One is it's kind of like a mini research paper. It has all the parts to it. Right? An abstract gives us background information, the purpose of the research, the methodology, results, and conclusion in a really short, succinct way. Right, so that's what we want to teach them first. And once they do that, they can then expand out to a paper. So we're going to look at the elephant idea, but I'll ask you just like I asked the students when they've had more time to think about it and talk about it. But what do you think would happen? So this is their question, the Mythbusters question. What happens when elephants came in contact with a mouse? I don't know if you've ever witnessed it before or not. I hadn't until I watched the video. Nothing. There is no reaction from elephants when they see a mouse. The elephants noticed the mouse but did not change their course. They saw a mouse and they basically ignored the mouse. Elephants noticed the mouse and they changed their course. They went a different way. Or, as predicted by Pliny the Elder, if you do a little bit of research, supposedly he's the first person that suggested elephants are afraid of mice. The elephant saw the mouse and ran away, just as predicted by Pliny. Anybody want to take a guess before we watch? Well, don't, we'll watch. I'll check the sound. Hopefully this will be okay. sorry, sound just a minute.
Pop quiz. What do you think musophobia is in fear of? And I'll give you a hint. It's one of the most common phobias out there. Fear of mooses? No. It's in fact fear of mice. And that's what our next myth is about.
It's a myth of David versus Goliath proportions. A scream and a stampede later, and well, you know the rest.
I'm guessing the plan here is pretty simple. Why don't you spell it out?
Oh, we get some elephants and some mice and see what happens.
Right. Well, the circus is coming to town.
I don't want to use a circus elephant. They're trained. I think we need a real elephant, something out of the wild.
So we need to go somewhere where elephants wander in the wild. Africa. Let's go to Africa.
The target species here is the African elephant, and they're not hard to find.
Welcome to the world's parties.
Thank you. And we brought a bucket full of mice.
Yes.
I understand you have some elephants.
We do indeed, yes. We've also got the lions, the leopards, and the big five.
Honey, our test subject elephants. Now these guys are semi-habituated, which is the only reason I'm allowed to be this close. If we were actually in the wild, this would be extremely dangerous.
I've seen elephants in zoos. I've seen them in the Discovery Channel, but being up close to them in their natural environment is something else. They're wonderful creatures.
Back to the safety of the truck. The boys need to work out just how to get their minuscule mice next to these massive mammals.
All right, it's the elephants over there. We've got their arch nemesis right here. How do you make this mouse fit those elephants?
Some shot.
Okay, seriously. We need to improvise some kind of mouse delivery system, something that won't freak out the elephants.
Well, where there are elephants, there's elephant dung. So maybe we get a ball of dung and we'll dig a hole and put the mouse in. And we'll just yank it over. Yeah.
Take your piece of elephant dung. And you take your mouse. This is a stand-in mouse. The real one will be later. Put him in the hole. Come over the cardboard. Lay it out. Then the elephants are going to come on up. And wait in the distance with your monofilament. When the elephant gets near, beep, you expose the mouse and all hell breaks loose.
We've chosen this area because it's open enough that we can see what's going on. And we know there's some food over in that direction. And we're hoping that the elephants will come through here on their way to the food. And at the right moment, we'll roll over the ball of dung, release the mouse, and see what happens. Pam, are you done yet?
I'm all set, ready to go. Well, with everything ready to go, all that's left is to get some fairly predictable predictions.
For me, I see this the same way I would see a person looking at a fly on the ground. It's going to be so small that you may not even notice it. I don't see any reason why an elephant would be afraid of a mouse.
I don't have high hopes for this myth.
With the sensible money on the no reaction theory, it's go time. The elephants innocently approach the dung-goof dude in what must be the most easy to anticipate outcome in Mythbusters history. But then, as crazy as it seems, the elephant backs away. The Mythbusters, like me, are flabbergasted.
Well, what just happened is a classic Mythbusters scenario. We were all like, yeah, right, this little guy's going to scare those big guys. And it did. I mean, our jaws just dropped because it was clear as day. The mouse came out, the elephant stopped in its tracks, like, whoa! And then it gently tiptoed away as if this thing was deadly. We all thought this was never going to happen, yet there it was.
There it was, clear as day. But with a result as unbelievable as that, We can't call it yet. The JD have just had the most unexpected result in Mythbusters history. It looks like it's true that elephants are scared of mice.
That was amazing. The elephant totally avoided the mouse. He looked down, saw it, backed up, made a wide berth around this little guy.
Working under the assumption that it must have been the movement of the tongue that freaked the Ellie out, the boys reset for take 2, tongue movement only. But this time, the elephant was undeterred. This is getting ridiculous.
He didn't seem to respond to the ball and done it all, and I think my timing was exactly the same as it was with the mouse in there.
Words for me. Elephants are afraid of mice.
Not only was I totally wrong in the first test about the elephant not reacting at all to the mouse, but after it happened, I was sure that it was the dung moving. I was absolutely positive it was a dung moving. So we did another test of dung moves, the elephant doesn't even notice. It has to have been the mouse.
Working on the basis that science is repeatable, the boys are going to retry test 1 to see if they still get this incredible result.
All right, let's see what happens.
For the final time, the elephants approached. And lo and behold, in this David and Goliath battle, David wins again.
He definitely seemed to take notice of the mouse, like it was a significantly different thing than just a dung. I wasn't dreading this result. I'm always pleased to be completely wrong. I'm more astonished that I'm finishing the day calling something plausible that I knew wasn't plausible when I got up this morning.
He definitely didn't freak out, but he was very cautious. The mouse had his attention. It's that little grain of truth that we always look for in a myth. There it was.
There it was indeed. So with the mouse safe and well, despite Adam's best efforts, and the elephants ready to move on, it's time to wrap this one up.
How are we going to call this one?
Well, it wasn't a stampede. It wasn't like the cartoons. The elephant freaked out at the sight of the mouse. But the idea that the elephant was cautious around the mouse, I'd say we have to call that plausible.
I agree.
What do you think? Hello.
Okay, well, we'll have to keep moving. But basically, they said it was plausible. But they had all the different parts of the scientific experiment. They even thought of maybe there was a problem with their experiment, so they tested out a different way and ended up with the same result. So from that, we can get then the parts of an abstract, some background information, according to the website, 8077, Pliny Delbridge David, the idea that elephants hate mice above all creatures. This idea persists even today. So the purpose was in order to confirm Plany's claim, researchers studied the effect that mice have on elephants, and the methodology that they used, rodents were placed in mice-sized holes in elephant dung. Once the pachyderm approached, the researcher overturned the dung, exposing the mouse. And the results were that elephants stopped and even sidestepped the exposed mouse. So the conclusion is that elephants do not behave as negatively as Pliny claimed. However, they do recoil at the presence of mice, suggesting a level of caution in their proximity. So from that, then, the idea is that this can be expanded into a full-length paper. They could do more research about different phobias or that kind of thing, and they could explain in more detail each part of the paper. So that's the idea of the teaching part. So then when they're doing each section of the paper first, when it comes to the final paper then, on the Google Documents, we have instructions here, what they should be doing step by step. And we put in some blue text. This is what it should look like, but that's the text that they'll be changing. So they can take a look at the instructions, they can see how each part of the paper should look, and then they should be able to have a chart in there about something related to the research. And at of course, their conclusion and references, and then even the grading criteria of how we're going to score this particular assignment. And we had this for each of the assignments. Each part had instructions like this. And then of course the template, which this is what the students then could copy. They could see the instructions. Students copied this template, and then they share that with their people in their group and the teacher, and they change out that. I'll just skip this. Anyway, so the final result is this is the paper that the students produced, one of the papers. They studied swimming in syrup. Is it slower when you swim in syrup than water? And talking about liquid viscosity and drag and that kind of thing. So the students actually did scientific research about aerodynamics and fluid dynamics and those kinds of things. And they found the test watching the Mythbusters, and these are the references that they looked up information, and they were quite successful. They had problems, there was some grammar problems and things like that, but basically they did what they were supposed to for the course. Right. And then the same thing goes true for the presentation. Google Presentation works a lot like PowerPoint or Keynote. We made a template. You should have at least these kinds of slides. Each section explaining each part of the report. Students copy the template, and then they share that copy back with you and their other team members. And once they do that, they can, this is the same group, swimming in syrup. So the students made this and shared it with me. And they have each part of their paper, and they presented the information to the class following each section. And once they've done this, each group is presenting them also in the same way. So not only do they understand how to do it, but they're used to listening then. They can listen and catch the information much better because there's no surprise at what someone is saying. It all follows the same pattern. It reinforces that scientific method, that pattern. Okay, well, maybe do we have time for survey? I'll do really quickly. Okay, time is up. We surveyed the students. Basically, the course is going well. The stuff on the left means good. The stuff on the right, we need to improve a little bit for the survey. You can ask me questions afterwards about these different parts, but we were running late. If you want to have a link to any of this stuff, on your handout there's a link for Dropbox, Google, Mythbusters. You just need to type in the tiny URL, TESOL 2012 elephant, and you can access this information. So that's officially the end. Thank you.
Okay, so next is 15 minutes for take a break.